All right, well, we'll get started now, and as people filter in, we'll just kind of like, you know, mend through everything. But hello, everybody. This is Karlo Arenas. He's been my really good friend since high school. He was actually another one of my doubles partners in high school for tennis. um, he runs a business slash academy called the Noise Academy, but I'll let him talk more about what it actually is. And but once again, Carlo, if you can start with like your high school slash college career life and kind of blend into the work environment.
For sure. Yeah, that's so long ago.
For
It's
real.
like actually this year is our 20-year reunion. Well,
Oh,
we don't have a reunion, but our 20-year like time. So
oh my
yeah.
God.
Good morning, everyone. Hope everyone is well. So yeah, in high school, I was in like the biggest thing I was in was marching band, and that was like we were in band all 4 years. Went through the normal classes, all that stuff. I was, like, I was really friendly, happy to be there, being like, friends and stuff like that. Um, got into academic decathlon the last 2 years of um, my high school life. So was doing like a lot of like, preparation for that. I was in a lot of science and math honors classes. So like calculus, physics, chemistry, all those classes were I was a part of. English I wasn't that good at, and history I wasn't good at, so it was kind of like a weird balance between those two. Um, but yeah, I mean that was like my high school years. Like I did a lot of stuff to kind of like prep myself for college, but honestly, like I only applied to two schools, and that was Caltech and Cal Poly Pomona, and I actually got into both. But I chose Cal Poly Pomona because we financially we couldn't afford Caltech, but also at the same time, I kind of felt that like that's more of a place for me. Uh, Cal Poly Pomona was the the school that was that their motto was learn by doing, and so I took that to heart because I believe that a lot of what I did in high school and learned along the way was by doing it versus just reading about it, and that was like my excitement behind that. I entered in as a engineer, electrical engineer, and then I basically hated it the first the first quarter, so I switched majors to computer science. Didn't like that, and then lastly I moved to music business, which was fairly new at the time. So basically, it was like mixing my music background in like marching band and just music in general, and mixing that with the business side. So a lot of it had to do with like record labels and like just kind of that kind of like side of things. So it was pretty interesting in that world. Um, I was very it was kind of weird for me because when I went from high school to college, I went to a college that was obviously like 20 times the size of our school. Like when it comes down to space and also people or students, and so it's very intimidating for me. I was one of those like students that would go eat in my car because I didn't make any friends yet until like maybe my second or third year in college. I did have one friend who I had met in orientation of college and is actually my business partner now. So we've known each other for 20 years now, or close to 20 years. So I'm really excited. I was really happy about that. But other than that, because at the time it was a commuter school and still is, like I didn't really congregate as much as I did. I was supposed to, but when it was my third year in college, one of our friends that was in class was like, "Hey, let's go hang out, let's go do something after this class." And so we did, and after that, it kind of changed the whole uh, kind of music business team or group of students, like from that point on. So basically, we kind of met each other, hung out, and then we just became really good friends after that. Throughout college, or actually the last part of college, I joined the committee and I helped throw concerts at school, and then became the president and also like the chair of those committees to start doing events and that sort of thing. And part of it was doing internships, like with different companies. So my last year in school, and I was there for 5 years. My last year in school, what I did was I actually took like almost six, I think it was six, yeah, six internships. And I just kind of did it like sporadically and kind of did it in different places, but they were all related. So like one of them was recording, the other five were all with other promoters and other companies that threw events, and to learn like what the business was and that sort of thing. So when I learned that, there was a lot of prominent people that went to my school, but that were alumni, that's when I got really excited. So to put in perspective, like there's a venue in Pomona called the Glass House, and I interned over there, and I learned that the owner of the Glass House also went to Cal Poly Pomona in the 80s and through concerts. And then his brother also did the same thing, and his brother actually is the founder of Coachella. And so obviously you guys know what Coachella is, and so that's where I kind of like started my like journey. Their other friend that was also went to school. He of the same school. He is also the founder of Vans Warped Tour, and so all those guys were throwing concerts in the 80s at the college, and we never knew about that. And so it kind of felt good to be like part of a group of people that have done that for their school, and also like just been a part of like college life, and is now obviously a big part of almost everyone's life that goes to concerts or just music festivals in general. So but yeah, and then so after that, after college, I actually stayed at the college for another 4 to 5 years, and basically was the advisor to the students who also threw shows and concerts and events and everything. So it's kind of like what Mr. Payan is to you guys, like just their teacher and mentor, that type of thing. And at the same time, I was also freelancing in the music business or the music concert side of things. So I was doing festivals, I was doing just different things to kind of get my foot in the door. And then finally one year, I decided like, hey, I gotta do this, full time. So I quit my job, and within 4 months of me going freelance, I had made more money than I ever did in a year at my other job, at my normal job. And so that was like really exciting for me. So after that, just continued to move forward. I started a company called the Noise Academy with my partner Adam and a bunch of us that went to Cal Poly Pomona, because we kind of figured that it would be easier for us to navigate through the industry if we all started as a team, and we kind of presented ourselves as a team to all these different people. And so along the way, like we've kind of done, like all these different shows, and at the time we were kind of like the prominent team in like music festivals. So whether it was a Golden Voice show like Coachella, Stagecoach, those shows, and then all the way down to like Insomniac shows where like EDC and Nocturnal Wonderland, and Hard and all that. All those shows hired us because we were like the only team in Southern California that can do festivals. So that's where we kind of got our start from. And then from there, just continue to grow, and we do other festivals or shows now where we worked for like Google or like Apple, Amazon to do their private parties or big events, and then we also go on tour. So I'm one of like the stage managers for Blackpink and for EXO and a bunch of like other K-pop bands. And yeah, that's basically like where it is now and where we've kind of grown ourselves to. So yeah,
That's cool.
I can stop there and then continue.
Yeah. So I do want to open it up to a couple questions right now. If anybody has any questions so far. No, we seem to be doing all right. Okay. All right. So I did want to talk a little bit of also about oh, a student just told me their laptop died. uh, about like how the industry is going now, because I know because of like COVID, how everything's been going on, concerts have been pretty much on hold. So I want to talk about like a little bit of how you had to evolve to keep your business like thriving or going.
For sure. Yeah. So so obviously, like when COVID hit, it pretty much destroyed like our entire industry. And so you can like imagine this, like imagine that you have a career or you have a job that you really love, right? It's like the best job you could ever have, that kind of thing, and then it gets taken away from you because you get fired or that sort of thing. So technically, the best move to do is like, all right, I'm going to go to another company that does the same thing. In our case, it was like there's no way of us going to any other company or any other industry within our scope that we could do. So therefore, it was like you can't do what you normally do anymore at all. And so that was a big like blow to us because technically it's like at the time if I could pivot to like film and do film, but that's like those guys were like not having any like filming days whatsoever, and then we're like, okay, let's go into sports, and then sports stopped. And so that all three of these huge market or huge industries that we could potentially put our skills to are just completely gone. And so what we did was we kind of doubled down, invested some money and our time into learning how to do like the streaming side of things because we knew that when everyone's at home or everyone's going to look to some sort of content to watch. So besides TV, besides Netflix, besides all those different things, like people are just like, okay, well, I'll watch a Twitch stream of someone DJing and stuff like that. So we got into that world, and then slowly but surely throughout last year we finally got to a place where now we stream almost 14 to like 18 times a week of different artists, and these are like all like larger artists that we have like have had interactions with in the real world or in the like during festivals and stuff like that. So it was cool to kind of see familiar faces, and it was it's really exciting to kind of be in that world now. So we had to learn basically all the digital and the technological parts of like this industry, and then also purchase all the equipment that we need to get so that we can further it even more. And now we're even investing more into more equipment because we know that even if we go back to concerts and festivals, that we're going to still be in this industry as well. So we're hoping to just continue what we're doing now when shows come back, and then have that as like a secondary income for us in the future. So that's mainly what we're doing now, is trying to get through those different obstacles. But that's kind of part of like our industry is our industry is very known for adaptability, and the people in our industry are very good at that. There's less than 3,000 people that actually manage every music festival in the United States, and we're all friends, and we all know each other. And so we, obviously, like if we were to do anything, like out of state or whatever it is, like we know who to go to. We know who to go to, like working in different regions. We're all friends in that regard. And then also there's a touring side of things. So we know all the touring managers and the production managers that are in that world too. So for us, it was easier. For example, like out of the 18 shows that we do in a week, maybe less than half of those are actually in LA or within Southern California. Everything else is like New York, Miami, even in the UK. I have one in Sweden like next week. Actually, no, tomorrow. And just because I know so many people that are in our industry, I know where people live and I know where people are at. So I have those resources everywhere. So if I need to film someone or record someone or stream someone from New York, that's no problem. I already have someone that's over there. So those kinds of like, networks that we've developed over the years is what's important. And, part of it is like, the resilience of like of what we do, or in general, is what we're excited about. And so when we when this whole thing happened, the only thing is to adapt. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people in our industry right now that have left us, as in like they're no longer in our industry. Like they're in construction, or they kind of decided to go back to school and kind of do different things. So as a whole, we're going to be understaffed when it comes down to doing these shows in the future. But at the same time, we are also like trying to figure out how to get ourselves to the end of that tunnel. And when we do, we're going to be excited because we have more work to kind of like bring in. So it's going to be the fortunate and unfortunate thing is that we lose a lot of good people, but at the same time we also gain more clients, and also have the ability to not necessarily compete with each other anymore. So that's how we kind of like see it at the moment.
Okay, that's cool. And then another thing too, you call yourself or your business an academy, and I know we talked
Mm-hmm.
about this before, and how you this is more of like you kind of showing people, pretty much the industry, right? So can you like give
Correct.
people a
Yeah,
little
yeah.
bit on that?
So what we do is um, like in the beginning, it was a lot of us that were just kind of new, right? New to the whole thing. So it was more of like our team just teaching each other like different things of the industry and learning as we went through it. So naturally, as we got older, more experienced, that sort of thing, more and more people started coming into our industry, and we kind of acted as more of the group to kind of talk to about how to get themselves through the industry and how to be a part of it, and like learning different skills. We kind of pride ourselves in like helping people get to where they want to get to. Like my whole thing has always come from the university level as well when it comes down to teaching. And like after I graduated, I was in that position. I was really embedded in the student life, and also was very invested in like my students and making sure that they were, no matter what they did. Like I had a lot of students that were engineers, that were pre-med, that were different things. And to me, my goal was to link up whatever I was teaching them when it came down to throwing events or throwing like concerts, and making sure that whatever skills that they learned in that world can also be added to whatever they're doing. And so like as part of it, like within the Noise Academy, like you know if you enter our world, our industry, and the first thing I ask you is going to be like, what do you want? Where do you see yourself in like 5 to 10 years? Like, where do you want to go? And my 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 thing is like, how do I help you get there? And so that's my biggest thing. That's my biggest like push and motivation, because I really like to see other people grow and get to like their full potential, right? And so that's where our academy portion of our company like kind of lies, is that we like to take in folks that are really interested and kind of push them on their way. If they along the way feel that like they don't want to do this anymore, and like they don't want to deal with like the drama, the stress, or anything like that, it's totally fine. And what we ask of them is like like, hey, take what you learned here and take it to wherever you want to go next. And if wherever you want to go next is something that we can help you find also, then that's no problem also. So I think that's like what we as a team are very proud of, and we want to continue to do that. Like everyone, it's kind of weird, like when people either not lose their jobs, but like when they leave their jobs, their full-time jobs within the industry, and they want to go into the freelance world, which is a little bit more difficult because the safety net is no longer there. They tend to call me first before they do anything else, because they want to ask for my opinion, my advice, and then they move forward from there. And for the most part, like a lot of them are just really good at what they do, and we figure out what that is, and when they actually go into the freelance world, like they're very successful. So that's something that I really cherish, like my time with these people.
That's cool. Yeah, I know. I've known you build like a ton of relationships at pretty much everywhere you go, because a lot of people seem to gravitate towards you because of your sociable attitude. But and I can tell because how many people I didn't know from your wedding. But yeah, what would you recommend someone that's trying to get into your field?
uh, if it's really dependent on like what they like, which part of it they want to do. So for me, it's a matter of them trying to figure out like, you know, trying to like, figuring out what they want to do is a big thing. And it's like one thing that you guys have that no one else has, like any other festival or anything like that, is the fact that you guys can actually work Coachella once you turn 18. And part of it is like the fact that you can actually, go to all these different job fairs. We host a lot of job fairs out there to make sure that we have the right people to do certain things. But it's you literally have to start from the bottom and then kind of work your way to the top. But there's plenty of people that are in the area that I work with now. There's a girl named Brenda that she started out as like in like doing like what was it? Oh, like guest check-in or like box office, that sort of thing. And she kind of moved herself up the ranks and is now like one of the key people that run the artist relations department for Coachella. So which means that all the artists that come in, like she's the one who's assisting with, making sure that their hospitality is right, that they get to their stages on time, like that kind of thing. And so as and now what's even cool is that like we hire her for different things outside of Coachella. So she's traveling with us, and so she's in like in LA. I'll randomly I'll be in like Miami, New York, whatever, and she's there. And so I know for a fact that like the possibilities are there. I think she's from Palm Desert, and so that's where there's a lot of people that I know that live in the valley that have continued on to be part of our industry and have always like been done it. So for if you're interested, like I would definitely look into different newsletters or anything that anyone's saying now that they're hiring for Coachella for the future, and try to get to those job fairs and and just be a part of it. Because I think once you're in it, then you can try to figure out who's doing what, understanding who these people, like who everyone is, and understanding like how the process works, and then you can kind of pick and choose like where you want to be in that world. So I think that's where like you just have to be really observant as you're going through it. And like a college like degree is very important because for the most part, I mean, a lot of the older generation is they didn't go to, some of them are high school dropouts, and they're not even like a college like graduate, but they hire a bunch of college graduates because they know that the industry is moving into a direction that like they have never seen before. So they need to, they need to adapt as well. So part of their adapting is them hiring people that are able to handle the workloads and also at the same time handle the progression of our industry. Technically, our industry is very young. It's not like the touring industry is the oldest one, which is 60s, even the 50s. Like that kind of world was there, but it's very it's still very young. And then festivals in general, festivals weren't really a thing until like the early 2000s. So that's where like we see our opportunity is like, okay, well, there's a lot of us that are evolving with not just the industry but also with life. Like here's gonna be funny part is that when I first entered an industry, there's a bunch of production managers that I look up to now still that had no idea how to function an email or like write an email or like check their emails or anything like that, and they refused to do it for years because they were like, this is too new for me, I don't care, blah blah blah. So that kind of attitude is what's going to stop you from working at some point. And so the adaptation of like moving through those different kinds of skills is going to help you go through it and like just be kind of relevant in that world. The reason why I was in college for 5 years is because I actually have three minor. I have a bachelor's in music, but I also have a minor in math, computer science, and digital media. And so for 5 years, I did all three quarters through the regular year, and then also did summer school, just because I kind of wanted to. And then kind of, and then those different skills have helped me throughout the years now. So I use a lot of math and I use a lot of physics. Like, I mean, I build like my they call it like my strength in right now is like building festivals and building structures, like stages and different things. And so math and science is what I use all the time. Like I use the Pythagorean theorem almost all the time when I'm at a show, and I use a lot of like uh, force calculations, energy calculations, all those different things. I have to deal with power, so I have to know all my power, like like watts versus amps, and figuring out like how much power it draws for a stage, and understanding like because knowing all that stuff in the end will help your boss or your whoever the person that you're working for save money, because at the end of the day, if something does go wrong because of a miscalculation, then there's a lot of money in that that we have to pay for. But that's part of it, is like being more efficient and helping out the situation at that point.
Yeah, for sure. Especially now that's going on, like the power outages that's going on. I mean, that's usually like, or
Yeah.
everybody's been in a house where the power trips, like it trips the breaker, and you have to kind of reset it. So can you
Oh
imagine
yeah, yeah.
the concert were to go on and the power would shut off because it was a surge or whatever? That's huge. Um,
Exactly. I mean, concerts helped me figure out that part of my life also. Like I didn't know anything about that stuff within the house, and now in my house, I know exactly where everything's at, and I know how to function because I've done those things at a concert. I've seen it happen.
oh wow, isn't that crazy how that works? Everything get kind of ties together at the end, right? Wow. Okay, well,
100%.
that was gonna be one of my questions. How is math involved in your build? Because I know we talked about how you use this stuff all the time. Um,
Totally. I mean, so like for example, my partner actually he designs festivals. So what he does is like he's on CAD almost all the time, and basically just designs like where all the stages go, where all the tents go, porta potties, that sort of thing. So with that, there's a lot of geometry and trigonometry involved in that, where you have to count, obviously, like like how many feet is certain things and all that, because a lot of what we do does have to kind of adhere to, um, you know, uh, building and safety and like fire marshal safety and all that kind of stuff. So we have taken their like regulations and their opinions and their insight along the way, and then kind of included that into how we design things. So obviously for us, like a fire lane has to be a minimum of 25 feet, so we have to make sure that that's part of it. Um, if we're tenting, you can only have 7 tents within an area before you have to break it up because of fire regulation. And then so all these different things kind of equates to like using math a lot. Even certain things where we kind of assess how people move, and so if there's a really cool band at one stage, and then the next band after that or next band after them is at a bigger stage, and we know that everyone's going to be moving that way, like say to the main stage, we notice over the years like how the path is taken, and how the different like how people get from one stage to the other, and so that helps us calculate how much footage we need to allow all those people to get through without them being congested or dangerously congested. And so that's where we kind of like use a lot of our math and science to make the audience experience better. And that's where a lot of it comes into play, is like we don't want to put X amount of like food trucks next to each other because there's not enough space in there. So our space dictates where they actually go and how it's done and that sort of thing. So that's where a lot of our math and science is like used.
that's cool. I mean, one of these days, Carlo, I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have to go out and see when you guys plan all this stuff, because all this is super like intriguing to me. But one of my One of my students just sent me a message saying, "There is there any way you can get us hookups, getting the hookup with some tickets?"
Unfortunately, not really. So they only give me one ticket, and that's always for my wife. And so
Oh,
whether or not she goes is her choice. But I only have one ticket available. That's it. And the reason why is because, like, I mean, over the years, like, it's people have abused
of course.
the
Yeah,
free ticket thing, and so when that
I know.
happens, it's like, oh well, it's kind of like, when you're in school and like someone messes up and like the whole class has to like suffer because of that one person. It's exactly it.
Yeah.
So
Yes, for from what
um,
I've experienced, you do a lot of stuff outside of Coachella, or like just Coachella
correct.
as an example. So a lot of your venue stuff is actually at like hotels, right?
Yeah. Well, not really. We just live in a lot of hotels. So yeah. So I'm always in a hotel because I mean that's where I stay when I go out and stuff.
Yeah.
But um, yeah, I mean, like for hotels and stuff, like we do, like for Coachella, we also do a pool party. Not Splash House, but it's the same people that do Splash House, but it's called Day Club, and so that's when we do like a pool party and all that kind of stuff. But for the most part, like venues in general, like now I've kind of like graduated to like stadiums and like arenas. I used to work on like like club shows and all that kind of stuff, and like did little shows here and there. I know some of you know like the date shed over by Coachella, and then there's like another one called like I think the Hood or something like that. It's in like Palm Springs, but those different areas, those different clubs I used to work at or used to do shows in, similar to those kinds of similar to similar size to those kinds of venues. In the past, like when you do festivals, obviously, we focus on like 10,000 people or more, and so when that becomes like part of your skill set, then they're like, can you do this arena? Can you do this stadium? So we're actually like, like we've kind of gotten to now at that point in our lives of like working on those bigger projects.
That's cool, cool. I'm gonna see if anybody has any questions. If not, we can continue. Does anybody have any questions going on so far? Besides hooking us up with some tickets, wink, wink. No.
I have a question. What helped you get all those internships while you were in college?
Oh, good question. So I would go back then. We actually had like physical bulletin boards. So our professors would attach something there that says like, hey, like there's a new internship that's available at this space. Like, cool. So then I would go and apply for it and interview for it, and then I would technically get it and kind of go from there. I mean, to tell you the truth too, like some of these internships I got from just knowing people. And so it's like one of those like, oh hey, like there's an opening here, like let me get you in, and that sort of thing. So I mean, it is very true when it comes down to that phrase of like it's not what you know, but who you know. But at the same time, when you get to a certain point, it's gonna be definitely based on like what you know, because everybody in our industry is very knowledgeable, and if it shows that you have no idea like what you're doing, then we'll definitely let you know about that. Like we'll definitely tell you, and you never get hired again. So, but yeah, I mean that's how I got it. Like be very very involved in your whatever career that you choose or whatever path that you choose in like college. Be very involved in like the clubs or the different organizations that are part of like your industry or part of like your career, because those people, like honestly, like people knowing people, it was going to help you get to where you want to get to. And someone always knows someone along the way, and like if you want to, like it's crazy, like our industry is very like that. And it's like I can just put on Facebook, hey, does anybody know anyone that works this festival? Within like within minutes I'll get like an email or a text saying like, hey, talk to this person, and it's like immediate. And so a lot of the time, like that part of that network is definitely takes time to kind of grow, but the start of it is being part of that network when you're in college. And And then while you're in that network, you're going to understand and you're going to see those different opportunities like internships and jobs and those sort of things. Like the cool thing now is that, and back then, all of our internships were not paid. So we're just kind of like doing things for free or doing things for credit, for class credit. Nowadays, there's more internships that are within our industry now that do pay. And so you're getting paid like, $20, $30 an hour as an intern, just to do like kind of simple stuff. But the fact that like you're getting paid is pretty cool. So I definitely encourage it.
Yeah, and that's a huge thing too, because I was talking to internships and networking. We've done all that stuff in my class, how the importance of it for everything. And I actually found out recently that interns now get paid. I thought they were still doing pro bono, like free work. And it was kind of, a friend told me he got an internship with Amazon. I'm like, that's great. You can eventually get a good job. He's like, no, you don't understand. They're paying me like $90,000 a year to intern. And I was like, what? That doesn't make any sense to me.
It's crazy. And then like when you finally get a job with them, it's more.
Yeah, he told me if he ends up getting hired, it ends up being like double that. And I'm like, whoa. And he's a computer software engineer, guys, if you guys want to look into that. But all right, so I got a couple more. Does anybody have any more questions? That was a great question though, Brenda, by the way.
You could ask me weird questions too. You could ask me pretty much anything.
Carlo's a pretty goofy guy. He's into a lot of the same goofy things that most of us are into. I know I saw a couple of shots you talked about how you manage groups.
Oh yeah, it is kind of weird. Like when I do, like I don't know if you guys know the artist Bobby Shmurda, but he just got released from jail, and so every time a rapper gets released from jail, like we have to for us, we have to think about like how we're gonna have to deal with them when they have to go to our show, and that's like a very like weird thing, but but at the same time, it's like we just have to figure out what we have to do with them.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I can see that for sure. Oh man, I did want to ask. So, still kind of going into like your career path. What is like the biggest mistake you've made, and like what could you have done to like, or like basically what were the pros and cons of the mistake that you made, like stuff you learned or whatever?
Good question.
Or are you just flawless?
No. I'm 100% not flawless. I feel that mistakes are the reason why you have your experiences, and like you have better experiences. I think the number one thing is like don't be afraid to make mistakes, but be very mindful about your reputation, because that's very big. So like part of it is like the beginning of my reputation, like beginning of my career, my reputation was very like unknown. So I have to put in so much work to make sure that people understand who I am and that sort of thing. And like I don't see all of you right now, like because I'm physically, but I mean like Mr. Payana, can you tell me like how many people in this or how many students here are minorities?
Pretty much all of them.
All of them, yeah. So I'm Filipino Chinese, and like I come from like I come from Omani, so I'm like like I am a minority, and it is hard. I'm gonna tell you right now, like unfortunately, even with everything that's changing right now, and there's the different ideology, part of it is the fact that like you have to work almost twice as hard as someone that is not a minority, and that's very difficult. You know what I mean? And that's very, very hard to understand sometimes, but that is the truth. You know what I mean? Like you just have to work harder, and don't take it as like oh man, I got to work harder, blah blah blah. Take it as something that to challenge yourself even more. And what I've done was I've kind of used that mantra, because I pushed myself to work harder than someone that was in the same field as I am, that is not a minority, so that I can be seen. But along the way, what it does is that it makes you just a better person in general and a better worker. And so at that point, it's like, why not just do it? Why not just improve yourself? And that's where the number one thing lies, is that, as you're making your mistakes, don't make them twice. That's the number one key, is like, there's definitely people in our industry that have made the same mistake twice, And let me tell you, they have never made it a third time because they never given a chance to. And that's very important to us. And for us, especially, like, mistakes can be costly money wise. And that is for any company, whether you're in my industry or other industries, like, that is their number one priority, is like, how much money they're making and that sort of thing. And so if you lose money because of your mistake, you just make sure that it's not a lot of money. And just take but don't be afraid to take risks and to take calculated risks. Like, it's like, I took a huge risk leaving my 9 to 5, with health insurance and benefits and that sort of thing. And those things are very important. But when I made that jump and I started making more money, I was like, well, I have now enough to have my own insurance. And so that's where it kind of, like, you have to kind of push your way through. And if like, your mark of success has to do with, like, money, that's totally fine. Just make sure that whatever you're doing is something that you love to do, because I love doing what I do, And then I was telling Mr. Payan earlier that, I was listening to a live record the other day, or a live, album, and I got emotional because I have not heard a crowd in almost a year now. And that was the one thing that drew me into this world. Like, I don't watch the band, I don't watch the performers, I watch the crowd. And to me, that energy is what gets me, like, really excited about what I do. And so to not have that for, like, a whole year, oh man, it's, like, really hard. And so so part of that is, like, the passion that takes you to where you want to go is also going to help you financially. Like, I was okay with the fact that, like, maybe I'm not going to make that much money when I'm doing this, like, whatever it is. But luckily enough that, like, as my passion grew for it, and, like, as I got better at it, and people started to call me, like, now it's not even an issue. Like, in the beginning of this pandemic, it definitely was. It was kind of scary. And Mr. Payan can tell you, like, how many times I've told our friends how much I may need help, may need financial help in the future. But luckily enough that I pushed hard enough that I didn't have to make that call anymore. And like, now it's to the point now where I'm kind of 60% back into, like, what we were earning back in, like, 2019. So, which is really exciting. So as we're moving forward, like, just keep pushing, keep learning. That's another thing too, is, like, we have to, as part of, like, your mistakes along the way, make mistakes, don't make big ones, but don't make them twice. And then as we move forward, like, use those experiences to make you better. Like, you'll know why you'll know why you love something so much, because if you spend time trying to make yourself better at it, that means you love it, like, 100%. And like, for so many years, and still to this day, like, I, like, this is very nerdy of me, but, like, I spend my time looking at my spreadsheets and my Excel sheets and wondering if I can do it better and make it faster for me, because the faster and more efficient I can move on the back end, the better I will be on the front end. Meaning that when I'm on site, or if I'm on, like, the ground and doing all the, like, making sure everything's cool, like, I don't have to worry about anything on the back end of, like, all of my documents or anything like that, to make sure that they're on point, because I already know they're on point before I even get to site. So, but yeah, I mean, like, and when it goes back to your question about mistakes I've made, I mean, just plenty of mistakes that I made, as, like, like, just doing weird things that, like, it shows, and, like, getting into arguments with artists and artist management because I messed up, on certain things, or I forgot something, that sort of thing. But all I know is that after that one time, I don't do it again. So.
Okay, that's cool. I like that. It's a good thing, and I like how you touched into the whole continue learning, even though you should never stop learning what you're doing. I mean, I feel like once you stop learning, everyone starts passing you and leaving you behind, and you
totally.
become you become kind of irrelevant. Like, I don't know if it's the same for that well, I'm sure it is, because especially how things are growing now, you don't adapt.
It's kind it's kind of like when you're, like you're looking at a math problem, and then like you've you know what the answer is because they gave you the answer, but like you're trying to get to the answer, and like along the way you make mistakes, but you just go back and like redo it till you finally get it. Like it's the same thing. You know what I mean? Like it's the same kind of like ideology, is making sure that you just do what you need to do when it comes down to understanding what it is, and then you just keep learning. And then that's the thing, is like you can make mistakes, but you learn from your mistakes, and then you continue to go forward from that. Because once you stop learning, like no one's gonna care about you after that. And then after that, it's like it's survival at that point.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. So I had a couple more. One was like the evolution of how the industry is going. Where do you see the industry at in like 5 years?
Oh snap! Great
Yeah.
question. Sorry if you can hear me eat. I'm eating. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I know you took time out of your busy schedule for us, and I know you're on the road, so it's all good.
I think in 5 years, the streaming stuff is still gonna be there. I assuming that there's no like other weird pandemic, or as like this country went through like some mistakes in this pandemic, that we learned from it, is that like when we go back to concerts and like back to normal, I feel that the human connection is always going to be there, and so that there's going to be that side of it, but also the virtual connection has started to make its way. And I feel that all these festivals that are coming back are going to have that as part of it. And so Coachella already has a streaming portion of what they do. Like they have it on YouTube, and they have a partner, which is YouTube. So that's why they can do it. But in these other smaller festivals or smaller shows, they're probably all going to be streamed at some point, so that because now there's another option, there's another opportunity to make more money. Like now that let's say at a show there's 10,000 people, but that's your capacity. So what you can do is you can put it online, stream it online, and sell like a cheaper ticket. Like if the ticket was $50 to go to the show, you can do a ticket that's only $10 or $5 online, and there's no capacity online. So that means that you can have 50,000 people on top of the 10,000 people that are there also paying to watch the same show. So I think that's going to happen. I think that's where our kind of like worlds lie at the moment. Like I was in there's this new app called Clubhouse. I'm sure if you guys know about that, but it's like invite only, like a bunch of influencers and stars and all that kind of stuff are in it, and a lot of industry professionals are also in it too. So the other day we had one that was like the future of our business, and a lot of it had to do with streaming. And so these are people that like my colleagues who were like my friend.
Oh,
hello.
Karlo, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we lagged a little bit for the last part.
Oh, that was weird. I can hear it. And I'm like, oh. Okay. But yeah, I mean, our industry is going to go towards that side of things, where it's going to be both virtual and it's going to be and live also. So that's in 5 years, that's what we're going to see.
I always thought that was going to be an opportunity for you guys, because I know that they have live events for sports, for example, like boxing and stuff, where people pay pay-per-view, and they get. And I actually was thinking about this before our talk today, and saying I wonder if they can like double dip, just like you have a live concert and then you also stream the live concert to like parties at home or something that couldn't make it for whatever reason. And that would be like a new thing that could happen, like for the future. Feel free to use that as much as you want. I mean, I figured that's probably much what you guys were working on, but
I think the idea was always, the idea has always been there. Yeah. I think the people that we work for are not old enough to understand like that it can be done. You know what I mean? Like that's where it is. Like it's usually that's the case. Is like everyone who's our age and younger know the opportunities behind it. It's just a matter of convincing the older generation above us to go with it.
All the money people.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure. Zulema had a question. Zulema, you wanna?
Yeah, I wanted to ask, what has been your favorite event to have worked on?
Repeat that often. Like my favorite what?
She said, "What has been your favorite event you have worked on?"
Oh, that makes sense. Most recently, it would have to be this show called Something in the Water, which is in Virginia Beach, and that was Pharrell's festival. The reason why I loved it is because I actually didn't work anything with the concert. It was more this one project, and it was this thing called it's called Cause Holiday. It's a big inflatable of this character. It's like 80 feet tall by like 100 feet long, and basically I project managed it, and I got it from. It was basically a gift by the artist Cause to Pharrell to be like, hey, you can use this at your festival, and there was a lot of challenges behind it because Pharrell wanted it on the beach, and I was like, it's impossible to put it on the beach. Or not, sorry, I wouldn't say impossible. It's hard to put on the beach, but he wanted to do it anyway, so we did it. And because of the wind, it was only up for like 8 hours. But it was like this big expensive project that we did, but the reason why it's my favorite one is because it had to do something without music for once, and at the same time, it kind of because of its notability beyond music, and into art world and streetwear, like fashion, that sort of thing. It kind of got me other opportunities to work with other people. So that's where right now, as Mr. Payan said, I'm on the road. I'm actually driving to this garage where they have these cars called Koenigsegg, which are like big hypercars, and I'm actually leaning my my personal goals towards automotive. So a lot of cars and races and that sort of thing. Like we want to get into that world, and so we want to throw those events as well. So I've been throwing a lot of car meets, rallies, track days, all that kind of stuff for racing. And so that's in the overall sense of it all, events and concerts and festivals kind of run exactly the same because it's an event. So I can shift that portion of my knowledge to a different industry, and I'm shifting it now towards racing and cars. And that's basically where we're trying to go to. So, but yeah, I mean that was my favorite event. And overall favorite festivals and shows is CrossFest in San Diego. It's a 15,000 person EDM house and techno show in San Diego, and it's my favorite one, just because it's in San Diego, the weather's nice, the people are nice, and the show is really fun.
That's cool. One student's asking, when can they expect BTS to perform at Coachella or Luna?
That's a good question. So BTS, put it this way, right? So Coachella is 3 days long, and each day we do about 125,000 people, right? So out of one of those days, if BTS was to play, they would play just one night, basically. Versus, let's say they play the Rose Bowl, which they have. So when I did BTS at the Rose Bowl, they had 3 shows in a row. Each show was 90,000 people or above, I think. I mean, 95,000 people. So if you round it down to 90,000 times 3, that's 270,000 people that bought tickets to their show versus 120 something that went to Coachella. That money is shared with other artists on the bill. That's the difference. And so for someone like BTS, they would do a Coachella, but I think it's not worth it for them at the moment because of the amount of money they already make on their own. So they don't really need like the help of a festival to do their own thing. They already throw their concert on its own is already a festival. So it's pretty it's already like the numbers are already like higher than what they would ever make at a festival.
Yeah, I guess it would have to be like a passion thing, something for the fans if they wanted to do it.
Correct.
And I mean, I've seen Coachella evolve over the years because I remember Coachella was mostly like rock bands and like all the AC/DC, Green Day, all that stuff. And then now it's a lot of people I've never heard of, and so it's definitely evolved with the culture.
Because you're old.
Yeah, you're older than I am. But no, yeah, definitely it's it's definitely evolved over the years. But has that ever been an issue with like for like you? Because I mean, I know you evolve with the industry, of course, but like having to, because I know your job is not really so much of what's going on. Your job is pretty much to make the audience, or to get an audience, or to make them happy. So how hard is that aspect to like get into, like learning about new bands, learning about new things, to like hire people to come in, and where do you get most of that information from?
I mean for bands and stuff like that, like you're right, I don't really follow it until someone tells me. So I do an event called Fader Fort, which is at South by Southwest in Austin every year. And so that event, Fader magazine brings in all these artists that I've never known. Like they're the ones who kind of have like the ideas or like the pulse of like what is big or is going to be big. And so, for example, like 5 years ago, I met Billie Eilish, and so she's like, she was 15, whatever she was like, and now she's like this like superstar. And so like I get myself involved with like the artists as they're young, and so I don't know who they are, but the thing is like I can see the potential behind it, and I'm eventually I work with them again at a bigger scale. And so when we do these hip hop shows like Rolling Loud or Day in Vegas and stuff like that, like I have no idea most of the time who the artists are until like one, my niece tells me who they are, or like until I work with them, and then from then on, like they become bigger and better stars. Like I worked with like Travis Scott ever since he was like when there was like 30 people in front of him to what it is now. And so that's where like my scalability is. Like I get to work with all these artists from like beginning to where they are now, and I have no idea who these people are until they tell me, like until I meet them. And so it's pretty interesting to see like how that is like evolving. When it comes down to like people working in our business, a lot of the time it's like I'll reiterate that again, is like if you when you turn 18 and you have a chance to work Coachella, go work Coachella, because that's gonna like go to those job fairs, go find something, because people that come from the valley, that come from like your region, definitely succeed, and they join us in our ranks, and they definitely join us in other things and in the future, and like and get to travel and get to do different things. So those opportunities are like where you can see yourself get into our business. And on top of that, like when you're in college, do your best to like get through, like get to know like all those different people within your industry, within your major, because those same people know someone that knows someone, et cetera, keep going. And as like, we're, as minorities, like we kind of feel like we're stuck in this space that we're in, but it's a matter of how much you want to break out of it and how much you want to get out, and knowing more people is going to help you get through it. Like, definitely know more people, but you don't have to trust everybody. So that's another misconception of other people. People say is that like, oh, you can know all these different people, but definitely keep the ones that you trust close, and everyone else like, at an arm's distance. But at some point, like I'll ask for a favor and I'll get it. So, but that's just part of the game that you have to play. But to get into our business, just push forward. And for some of you, like when you like when you get into like our world, like don't hesitate to contact Mr. Payan to get my information, so that if you do decide, if you are hired for Coachella, maybe if we have it this year, let me know that you're there. So then I can be like, oh, cool, like you're part of this thing, and I can come find you. I can be like, oh, cool, like, hey, like on your break, come check this out, and I can introduce you to other people. Like that's where it starts, and like knowing certain people and then using that information is going to help you along the way.
That's cool. That was going to lead into my next one, because I was going to say like how, well, first of all, I dropped your Instagram on the chat, everybody. So the noiseacademy.production. So if you guys want to check them out on Instagram. But yeah, I was leading into my next question was how can my students like get an internship with like your Noise Academy, or what are the steps that they need to do to like get into that like kind of part?
The number one thing is obviously you have to be in school. And so a lot of our companies like now, they require that you have to be in college, and that our program is accredited at the college. So basically it's like as long as you can get credits or the credit that's needed for your internship program. So most of the time it's basically just us understanding like what the criteria is, and like if we meet it, and then if the school says like, all right, good, you're good to go, then we'll be able to like hire you and stuff like that. For us at the moment, like we don't have internships because there's no industry, and we're also trying to figure out our lives at the moment, like trying to figure out how to get through this. But when like by the time you guys get into school, and everyone's seniors, right, Mr. Payan?
Yeah, correct.
All right, so since everybody's seniors, like everyone's graduating, you guys going to school hopefully going to college next year. Yeah, by the time like you're in your second or third year, our industries would be back to normal. And so that's where, we could definitely, start looking for internships then. Like the bigger corporations like AEG and Live Nation, like if you go to their websites, and I can do this too, Mr. Payan, I can send you an email or a text of like all the different companies, and then on all their websites. And then when you guys go to their websites, you can look under like job application or jobs at these sites, at these companies, and there's internship opportunities in there. So you can look and see like what works for you or what you want to do. And the different internships are not just production. It's also like marketing, public relations, IT. If you're into like if you're into like computer science stuff, like all the different things are in there as well. And so those different internships are available for everyone. And so those are different things that you can definitely go into. And sometimes like like if depending on where it is, like if it's a really small company and there's an internship, like you can hit them up, send your resume, send your information in, and at the same time, if I know who it is, you can let me know, and I can kind of nudge someone over there, that kind of thing. So it's definitely like, it's pretty cool, like how we have that. But overall, like working in our industry, like when I was in college, I was already working in our industry already. So when I was in my senior year, I was already doing shows and festivals and all that kind of stuff, and just working as a runner, working as a, like I was cleaning up trash. Like I was cleaning porta potties and all that kind of stuff, just because I know that it's going to lead to something. I work really hard to make people notice me, and then they did after a few years, and it's like, cool. Like now I don't have to do those things, but I still have that mentality of like, I wouldn't tell anybody to do something unless I can do it if I can do it on my own. And so for the most part, like if I need help, I'll ask someone, but if I can do something if I can move a table, I'll just do it. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. And some people are not like that, but I would definitely push to do that, because there's a lot of people in our industry that, like, there's one girl, her name is Alexis, and she's still in college, but she does every single festival with us, like on the weekends. And so by the time she graduates, she'll have her foot in the door. Her foot's already in the door. So by the time she graduates, she's going to be in a bigger position than most of us would be when we graduated from college. So that's why I really suggest is like, if you can get yourself in the door now within like Coachella and Stagecoach and those other shows that are out there, and like even doing events like what you guys talk about there, Modernism Week that's coming up or has already been done, the Tennis Garden one, BITP, the you know what I'm talking about, right, Mr. Payan? The one at Indian Wells?
Yeah, Indian Wells, yeah.
Yeah. So that was in March, and so finding out if they're hiring there, like all that kind of stuff. All those different events we also work at too, because we have friends that work there. So moving up in those ranks is going to help you locally, and then it'll get you a better place, hopefully nationally and internationally.
Yeah, I know we have remember Steve. Steve works at Coachella too, but he's like the manager of the trash department now, because he started there just picking up trash. Now he has you know that Steve works, right?
Yeah. I hang out with Steve all the time.
Yeah, there you go. So he was actually supposed to be staying at my house during this Coachella before the pandemic hit, and we had a bunch of things planned out already, and then everything kind of went sideways. But I know he's still grinding it out, hitting it out there. Well, do we have any more questions? This is kind of like final thoughts. Anyone? Besides J Park at Coachella, question mark?
J Park, maybe. We'll see.
Yeah. Okay.
Really?
Make it see now.
I don't know. I mean,
Make it happen.
I mean, K-pop's huge, man. Like I've been listening to K-pop for since 2007, 2006. So, and everyone laughed at me. But look at it now.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I don't know. I still remember like Karlo going up, and Karlo has this drive that to be successful. And I found this out when he was in college, because when he threw a concert, it's one of the first concerts I ever been to like myself, and it was face to face. And I got there and I was amazed, like you threw a free concert at the Cal Poly Pomona University, and I was just kind of like I knew at that moment this guy's gonna go places, because he especially getting into the industry where you kind of have to be a go-getter. You can't, you got to be able to take those risks and take chances and not be afraid to do these things, or else you won't really go anywhere. So I knew since then that Karlo was going to amount to a lot, and I know it was because of me, because he was my doubles tennis partner and I inspired him to be so successful. So
no. You did.
Yeah.
You did.
So yeah. I still remember that one time, Karlo, where we lost 117, the team, but we were the one. That was like one of my greatest memories of high school.
Oh yeah, we were the only group that won like a game.
That won a match, yeah, and tough times back in the day, but
who was that? It was like Calabasas. So I was like someone at
yeah,
white school.
Something like some crazy like that, and we beat their like number 2 or something, and everyone, and we were all so excited, and then we found out everyone else lost, and then we lost the other rounds because they were a good team, but it's still fresh in my mind when that happened. Okay, but pretty much that's it. Okay, so somebody asked, what is your favorite artist interaction?
Ooh, good question. I'm trying to figure like I still talk to T-Pain. That's a big one. Like
really?
T-Pain he builds computers, like gaming computers.
Oh,
so
wow.
ever since we met, like we've always been exchanging information of like, hey, what's your new build and stuff like that. And like especially now when we have to build a new computer for like film editing and stuff, because we're getting into like the streaming portion of the events, that like he has given me like ideas of like what to build next. So yeah, T-Pain I still like talk to. I work with artists like YG and I mean at the time Nipsey Hussle and other like folks like that. I guess a good one is actually I was doing an event for Adidas back in 2017, and it was the year that they lost the contract to the NBA, And so we were doing their show, and my show had like, I had Kid Cudi, I had Childish Gambino. Kid Cudi brought out, Kanye. Like I had all these artists on that bill, and it was great. And what's so funny was that Nike was also doing an event across, across town in LA also. And I got an Uber came behind my stage and dropped off a package for me, and it came from Nike, or it came from the Nike show, and it came from Kendrick Lamar's team, and basically said like, hey, we know you're at Adidas, but we know where your heart is, and they gave me like one of Kendrick Lamar's like shoes. So that was cool. Yeah, that was a cool experience. I was like, oh, cool. Like I'm in the middle of like this festival or the show, and I was like, it's funny that the competitor or people at the competitor side decided to give me something.
Yeah, that's nice.
So it was cool. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I definitely work with a lot of hip hop and those guys. So
It definitely shows your determination and how, I can see that people see how hard you work, for things like that to happen. So that's awesome, man. I'm glad you're doing well and everything's going all right with everything. Once again, I want to thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to come and talk to our students. And unfortunately, I mean, this is being recorded at the same time, always because of teacher rules or whatever. But I'm actually gonna play this back to some of the students, or I'm gonna give them, if that's okay with you, access to they can
yeah,
actually.
that's totally fine.
And then yeah, once again, thank you. I know you're super, super busy, and I just want to, I'm very grateful to have, a friend like you to be able to share your experiences with some of the kids and maybe, help them along to, if they want to get into that kind of industry, kind of help them along and give them a little, kick in the butt in the right direction. So yeah, thank you. And I can't wait.
100%.
Yeah, I can't wait for us to go back to normal so I can go back to having Thanksgivings at your house and all that stuff. All that stuff.
100%.
Yeah, for sure, man. All right. Well,
Let's definitely do it.
yeah, can we get some virtual, he can't see it, but some virtual claps for Karlo, please, and get it all going. They do a little. Yeah.
We'll do the sound effects.
Yeah. All right, man.
Send
Well,
me the video so I can see it too.
oh yeah, for sure. I'll definitely do that. Then I'll send it out to you as well. And Tyrone likes to watch him for some reason as well. So he's a
weirdo. So it's fine.
yeah, because I've had Jason on, I've had Tom on, I had Tyrone on, and then I got Danny
good.
from Amazon's coming on Monday, and then Kirk's gonna
Cool.
do an intro to investing for your future on Friday. So that's gonna
good.
be, that should be pretty fun, hopefully.
Yeah.
I know Mr.
And-
Payan
and-
knows all the great people. So thank you, Mr. Payan, for inviting us.
Yeah, it's like my friends from high
100%.
school that were in band just ended up being so successful for some reason. It might just be me. Maybe I'm the missing link that links them all to professionalism. Who knows?
100%. Now, the good thing is that we all we still are friends,
Yeah.
and we're all like we're like all brothers, and so it's like
Yeah.
it's after all these years, like we still talk to each other. So don't be afraid to like keep in touch with your friends from high school and on.
Yeah, for sure. All right, that's pretty
Cool.
much all the time we have, anyways, too, Karlo. But so once again, thank you again. And I'll be keeping in touch because I know you still got that Subaru that I'm supposed to be taking a look at.
Yes. Come and take a look.
Yeah, I'll come by one of these weekends. I'll message you and come by and kind of take a look to see what we got going there for sure.
Sounds good. Cool.
All right, take it easy. Thank you very much
All
again.
right.
Thank you for your time. Thank
Bye,
you, Mr.
everybody.
Payan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See ya.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Cool. So yeah, so that was Karlo. Like he said, if you guys are interested in that kind of that field, not just stage production, because that's mostly what he does now, stage production. Well, when the concerts are going on, but I guess he's going more to the streaming end right now. But if you're, like he said, get into college, get involved, look for internships. If you need help with anything like that, if you want to get in contact with him, let me know, message me. I'll give you his information, everything like that. Let him know that you're gonna call, email, text, or I dropped his Instagram. If you want to send him a message at Instagram, he's on that pretty much, not all the time, but he's posting events on there every week that he's doing right now. So feel free to use that information as needed. And even if this is like 4 or 5 years from now and you're like, hey, I kind of want to see what Mr. Payan's friend, I'm getting into I'm really liking the Coachella atmosphere and I want to try to get in. I got an internship doing this and maybe he can help me out, So even if it's 5 years from now, it doesn't matter. Message me and be like, hey, Mr. Payan, do you remember me? Do you still have contacts with your friend that does music production? And be like, yeah, let me give you his info. So don't be afraid, because just like I was talking about earlier, the people that are successful in that kind of business are the go-getters. You have to take the chances and use the connections you've earned or gained through the years, and use these opportunities that you have to better your lives and hopefully your careers and all that stuff like that. So yeah, so that's one more. So like I was saying, on Monday, I finally got so all my friends are super busy. So Karlo, I could only book him today because he was on the road and he actually had time. Usually he's in an office doing streaming, whatever, editing, all that stuff like that. But today he's like, I'm going to be driving. It's a long drive. I can do the talk to the. I was like, perfect. So it worked out. Monday I have my friend from Amazon who I'm not sure his position. I know he's a higher up, but I'm not sure exactly what it is. But he's going to come give his talk on Monday. And then the following Friday, I got my finally got a same thing. My friend he's in the Army / he's works at UCSD in the music library, but he's like how we talked about, like my group of brothers, my group of family from friends. He's our investment guru. He's the one that shows us how to do investing, how to like where to look at, what to do, and how to like plan stuff for the future. And even something like, especially your guys' age, $50 a month is a huge thing compared to like if I were to start now at 35, which I started last year because he helped me. Even $50 a month, by the time you retire, is a huge benefit for you to start now than to wait until later. Even $20 a month, So he's gonna, I kind of like went over with him and he's gonna kind of give you guys an idea, same kind of spiel, his life through college, and then kind of give you guys an idea of how to start. Of course, you have to do your own research, like he always says, but he'll give you the beginning guidelines on how to get this stuff done. So we have some, Miss Completa, of course, you guys are welcome to come for both of them, Monday and Friday. So
sure. That sounds very interesting. Yes.
Yeah, I know.
I also want to learn.
I was gonna say it might even be something for yourself, because I know for me, when I asked him about it, he's like, yeah, sure. And I was like, well, maybe we should go over some of the topics right now. And then I got a lot of my stuff going too. So he's the reason why I started investing my money, because I've seen how his portfolio has evolved over the years, and I'm like, I want that to be me. I want to have that nest egg for when I graduate. So. Yeah. Or graduate for when I guess graduate for when I retire. When I graduate from the workforce. All right, thank you, everybody. So that is time. Please enjoy the rest of your day and stay safe if you're in the area where the power outages is. I know people get crazy when times like this happen. So yeah, I will see you all tomorrow.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, Miss Fran.
Thank you. Have a
Bye,
great
Miss
day.
Completo.
Basically, when you said Friday, do you mean tomorrow or
No,
next
I mean next Friday. Next
Okay.
Friday. Yeah. Next Friday.
Also, I heard that the power should be back by 12:30 or 2:30.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome.
We won't have any kids
Yeah.
for third period.
Bye.
All right.
Bye.
Bye, bye, Mr.
Bye.
Mr. Payan,
Yes.
so my doctor's appointment for the physical today was supposed to be at 12:30. So I don't know if that's still gonna happen. So because my physical, I was going to do it over at Mecca, and there's no power there.
Can you, is there a way to call them and be like, hey, are you guys still doing physicals?
Well, it's because my mom works there, so she's home. So that means that they're not working.
They're not working. Okay, that's fine. If you need to schedule, that's okay. It's just we got cleared. Well, I have to ask, but they basically said, because tennis is a very social distance sport, we might actually be able to start playing matches as soon as if reality, like if we were all cleared, we could probably start next week playing matches. But I told them to hold off because I said I don't even have all my kids cleared yet, and I want to have at least a few practices before we get into that kind of thing. So, but just so you know that it's gonna come quick. So
yeah, and I was asking the girls how long it would take Alfredo to get us cleared, and then I said that it took her. No, I think it was Catherine, that it's been 3 days already and she hasn't gotten cleared. And then I think when I mentioned that hers got denied. And
yeah, mine got denied, but I think it's because I didn't finish uploading all the images.
Oh, okay.
And then they erased, so I had to re-upload them. So I don't know how long it'll take for them to check.
I'll talk to Alfredo and get things moving on a little faster, for sure.
Yeah. Well, I already submitted everything, like proof of insurance, the signature, everything.
Okay. If that's the case, then come out to practice today. I mean, we're literally just gonna run for an hour. It's literally, I'm gonna be running with you guys. I went to CrossFit yesterday and my legs are like done. I'm super sore, my legs hurt, but we're just gonna basically, because we're technically not allowed to have equipment yet, technically. So we're gonna do a lot of sprinting, a lot of run. Our warm up's gonna be like a 15-minute run, where we run around in the tennis court, or we might even do it on the field, like a couple big laps around the big field, you know. We'll see. I haven't figured that out yet, and then we're gonna do a bunch of stretching, a bunch of push-ups, all that. It's just it's stuff that we normally do during the beginning of practice, anyways. But we're gonna do it a little bit more because I feel like everybody's out of shape, so we kind of build into it. So
basically an extended like warm up.
Yeah, it's Hell Week. Hell Week is usually how it starts up, because it's hard for me to teach you how to play tennis when you're not in the greatest of shape. So, because I know even myself, I gained about maybe 20 pounds during the pandemic. But I mean, I've been lifting. I haven't done pretty much any cardio, just been lifting a lot of weight. So I did get a little bit bigger, like my muscles and stuff. But I also got a little bit bigger everywhere else too, because I haven't really been, even though I'm still eating right, I'm just not doing as much cardio as I was doing before. So I joined CrossFit last night because I figured I need to get back in shape for you guys. So, yeah, see how that works out. But I'm excited for today. Should be fun.
So if and when my appointment happens, do you think Alfredo can get me cleared by 3?
If it happens today, yeah, I'll tell him like, hey, all the paperwork's in. The only thing is I don't know how long they worked until. So, but as soon as you upload the stuff, send me a text or call me, and I'll Alfredo, hey, we have practice today, and the girl, these people have turned everything in. Can get them cleared so they can come and practice. But if you have your physical and all your stuff uploaded, I would say come anyways, because like I said, all we're going to be doing is running. We're not going to be doing anything crazy like stopping and going. It's just going to be, it's very like flowmatic. So like sprints, relax, sprint, relax. You know how we used to do that? Sprint, relax, all that stuff like that. We're going to do a bunch of that kind of stuff today, and a little bit of push-ups, a little bit of like ab stuff, but it's not going to be anything too crazy. Just it's mostly going to be cardio stuff, running and sprinting. So a lot of suicides. Yeah, so it should be fun, but definitely spread. Once again, tell everybody. We can only practice an hour right now according to the momentum, so it's going to be from 3 to 4 o'clock. So, and I'm planning on doing all the workouts with you guys. Let's see how long I last, because my legs, I couldn't even sit down earlier. My legs hurt so much. I woke up today because of my legs got cramps in the morning, so I woke up at like 6 o'clock in the morning with my legs cramping. So, yeah, should be fun. All right, cool. So, yeah, I'll see you guys later today. Hopefully, if everything works out, yeah, at practice.
Okay. Thank you, Mr.
Bye. See you at 3.
Sounds good. Bye.